Hey queens, so this is a continuation video from the previous 3 videos I uploaded on this style. Now this dress is a complete 3 pieces gown, and I've gone ahead to cover a detailed video on both the outer, the inner, and now we are working on the auto-gele. And all 3 detailed videos are already up on my YouTube channel. So guys, let us get started with this tutorial. As usual, let me get you started with the materials I'm going to be working with. So I'm going to be using this hard breast tube, a very hard one, and I also have 2 yards of Ankara material. Right now I'm going to measure 24 inches, and this is my base I'm trying to cut out. So for the width I'm using 24 inches, and for the length I am going to be working with 15 inches. So to get the base, just go ahead to mark the circumference of your head, and then whatever it gave you, that's going to be serving as your base. And for me, it was 24 inches. For the length, you can actually do more than 15 inches, but I just felt that is going to be long enough. You don't want something that will be just too long. So 15 inches was actually perfect for me. Sorry, not really me, because this is not my dress. So for the person, 15 inches was okay. So right now what I'm trying to do now is to form the pleat. And to form this pleat, what I did was that I divided my head circumference into 2. The 24 inches, I went ahead to divide it into 2, which gave me 12 inches. And that 12 inches, I'm going to be making 2 of that. Now, this is the first one I am making. Although this is actually more than 12 inches, I'll be cutting that later. Don't worry, you will see how I'm going to cut that. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to iron this. So now I have gone over to iron this, and now I'm just going to be taking this over to my sewing machine now, and I will be making a stitch. I'll be stitching on the pleat. Okay, I'll just be stitching on the pleat, and right here I have done that, and you can see how it is looking. I will go ahead now to carefully cut this out. Make sure your scissors does not interfere with the pleat you already cut. Just cut out the excesses without making it interfere. So I have gone ahead to make 2 of that pleat, and what I am doing right now is that I am trying to come in by 12 inches. That is my head circumference, the 24 inches divided by 2. So that is what I'm actually measuring right now, 12 inches from these 2 pleats I have made. So now just watch the way I'm going to be overlapping this on each other. So remember, this is a V auto-gele, so I'm going to be overlapping it like this, and I'm just going to measure out to make sure it actually gives me my 24 inches. Now you want to make sure that you are overlapping it using the marked line, that line you just marked, to signify your 12 inches from the one end and 12 inches from the other end. So you're making sure that those lines actually meet, okay, and then just overlap it in a slanted way to give you that V shape in front. I hope you understand. So right now I've gone ahead to stitch this, and I'm just trying to cut out the excess. When I was stitching this, I stitched it on the line I used while pleating. Okay, the line I sewed on while I was pleating this, that was the same line I sewed to, split the overlapping together. And you're making sure that you are slanting it. Okay, I hope you understand. Please just watch this video again in case you are confused, because I know it's a bit too fast. I just didn't want it to be long. I don't want a situation where I'm going to be having a part 2 for this video, so I just had to make everything on one part. So now I have gone ahead to notch that point. I am done with this pleat, and I have gone over to notch to get the midpoint, and I have brought out my base, and I'm going to be repeating the same thing. I'm going to be notching my base also, but before then I'm going to be measuring downward from my base, and I'll come down by 7 inches. So this is going to enable a space so that when I insert my handle, then it can tie freely. Don't worry, you will get to see that. Now I went on to notch it, and I'm going to be opening it up by 0.25 inches, and I'll take this over to my machine and make a tiny fold just like that. And I also went to sew this by curve. I went to curve this base. I just see the way I curved it, right? So right now I am done with that, and I'm just going to be placing this base to the pleat. Take it over to my sewing machine now, and I'm just going to sew it all the way around. And I'll also go on to cut out a handle of 6 inches wide and 12 inches long. So now you can see the shape this thing has formed, right? So this was actually what I'm talking about, so that when I tie it with this handle, it will have a space where you can actually hide this handle. Okay, well, just keep watching. At the end of the day, you will understand everything I'm saying. So now this is how I'm going to be wrapping this, because you want to sew this inside and you don't want it to look rough. I'm just going to be using this to wrap in the pleat. So you want to make sure that your handle is a bit wider than the pleat, okay? So that, because you're going to be turning this, and you don't want to cut everything to be equal. So now I went on to sew everything inside out, and I left a little opening of about 2 inches so that I can turn this out. So now I've gone ahead to turn this out, and I'm just going to be top stitching to close up that opening. So queens, if you have watched up to this point and you have any question to ask, please drop that in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, also please don't forget to do that. Please like this video so that the algorithm can get to push this to as many people that are interested in content like this. Right now, when I'm done with everything, I went on to check to see if I was okay with that, and I was okay with it. So now it is time for me to create the structure, right? I don't know what it is called, but that rise. Yes, so that it's time for me to do that. And I went on again to measure my base, and I'm going to be cutting it by 24. But I noticed something. If you're going to be making it very, very high, then everything is not going to be equal, okay? Because the higher it gets, then the shorter those lines may get, and you don't want that to happen. Anyways, just keep watching this video and you will understand what I'm talking about. For now, I'm going to be working with 24 inches, and I'm going to be cutting 3 inches first, okay? I'm going to be cutting out 3 inches, and I'm going to be cutting out, although I cut out more than up to 20 inch and 20 pieces, but I did not use all of them because it became too high and I didn't want it to get too high. Now for the breast tube, I'm going to be cutting out 1 inch. That's what I'm doing right now. 1 inch. And right now you can see everything I have, but this is just too much, okay? Right now, this is how I'm going to take this over to my machine now, and I will wrap it up like this. So now you see the reason why I went on to cut 3 inches for my Ankara, so that you can have enough space to close this up and stitch neatly. So after I was done with everything, this is what it came out looking like. Okay, so now you can see this thing is not equal. So this was what I was talking about. If you are going for something very high, you want to make sure that some strands are longer. Like I worked with 24 inches, so you want to make sure some are either 30, 35. You understand? Because the higher, then the more length it might require. So now what I'm trying to do is that I want to arrange these structures onto my base. And now I have to tie this on a mannequin to do that very well. And I have also gone ahead to plug my hot gun. That is what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be arranging this right now, one after the other, carefully. I'm just going to be arranging everything from the end of my pleats in front, like the V in front, from the end of it. You don't want to cover it up. So this is how I'm just going to be doing this. And okay, you want to also make sure that you have enough glue in this your hot gun, so that you don't end up maybe having this thing pulling out later. So while we are doing that, let me remind you to please give this video a like, and also drop your comments. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not done that already. So let me also use this opportunity to tell you that I also drop a lot of helpful behind the scenes video on my YouTube shorts, and I have a lot coming up also. So please, you don't want to miss what is coming up on Queen Sewing Tutorials. So queens, let me also use this medium to tell you my observation about this Auto-Gele, because this is my first time of recreating something like this. So you don't want to cut out a lot of breast tube, okay? Because when you are adding your Ankara, you need to also understand that your Ankara is also giving it more weight. So you don't want to have all these things too heavy. I ended up using not up to even 15, and I just cut out a lot of these things. So you don't want to make that kind of mistake, all right? Because the weight from the Ankara, at this point, I even felt like this one is even too much, but I said, okay, let me just manage it. But I have a lot that I just ended up wasting. So I don't want you to make that mistake. And I hope you get that point very clearly. So right now, I had to pull this out from the mannequin because my gum couldn't get to some places in the cap. So I had to bring it down, and I'm going to be using my hot gun to locate every point that was not properly touched. But I'm not going to be applying my hot gun all the way to the end. You want to leave some space so that you can use your hand. I'm going to be cutting out another pieces that I'll be using, just like I did for the base. Okay, you want to cut out another handle for these particular structures so that you can be using to tie up. So I'm just going to continue to add my hot gun to every point, every part that is open. And when I was satisfied with that, I just went on to cut out these pieces of fabric that I'll be using for my handle. And I went on to cut out 12 inches, just like I did for the other parts, for the first, that is for my base. And I also went on to cut out 6 inches wide. And this is the way I'm not going to be sewing this, although if you can use your needle and thread to pass for extra security, but I couldn't do that. I just went on to use my hot glue to connect this. And first you have to cut this so that everything will be equal. So queens, see the way I am applying this, right? So remember I said I did not apply my hot gun to the entire structure, thereby covering it. So I left some space upwards so that I can insert my handle. And you see the way I folded this in, and I'm going to be putting enough hot glue. Like I'm going to be really putting enough of it so that this thing doesn't pull out in the future. But if you have enough power to use your hand needle, you can go ahead to do that for extra security, just like I said. But it's going to be really stressful for me, and I cannot go through that stress, honestly. So this one is easy for me. So I'm just going to be using enough of hot glue to secure this very well and to make sure it lasts very, very long. So queens, if you have watched this tutorial to those very points, like you have watched from the first video to this very video up to this very point, I want to say a very big thank you to you. And if you are just seeing this video for the very first time, I want you to know that there are other videos before this very one. This is just like the conclusion video, okay, because it is a 3 pieces gown, and this is the Auto-Gele edition. So I've gone ahead to make the whole 3 videos for the first set. So you want to go over to my channel to check all of those ones out. So now queens, you can see how this came out, and this was my first time of recreating this, and it came out so beautiful. So are you going to be trying this out? Let me know your thoughts, your opinion, and also your question in the comment section. So with that, we have come to the end of today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on my next one. Bye.